Recently, we looked at Allen Intelligence's 10 worst PS1 games, seeing what our mother bird would regurgitate into our mouths. It went as expected, so I wanted to do that same thing with the PlayStation 2. Will ChatGPT give a good list of reverse classics? Is Run Like Hell really the 10th worst PlayStation 2 game in the history of its lexicon? Probably not, but Allen makes the hefty claim, Run Like Hell was marketed as a survival horror, but plays like a clunky shooter with sluggish aiming, laughable writing, and PS1 level presentation. Not entirely sure what Mr. GPT means by PS1 level presentation, graphics maybe. I don't think the game looks terrible for 2002. It's obviously a bit sneeze on the lens adjacent, and my boy's forehead can be used as a tic-tac-toe board. Otherwise, it's vanilla PS2 in that department. Graphically, this works, so those PS1 claims can be tossed right into the atmosphere like this bitch's head. That thing gets torn off and hurled right at me with no hesitation. Immediately revving up the action engines, having us escape from Big Boss Man, setting up some real tension with a good old quick time event of avoiding obstacles, solidifying how we are a hopeless ant escaping from a human shoe in this universe. And to make things better, we have our Argonian brethren save us by blowing a hole in the ship, almost sucking our character outside, giving us that expected close call space movie classic moment where we are now able to roam the halls of a space mining station infested with aliens that are literally called the Race. And I'm not gonna yank anyone's chain. It contains a pretty ominous atmosphere, at least for the time period. It's probably my favorite part of the whole endeavor. The music is not over the top. The darkened color palette aesthetic works in tandem with the aliens, creepy crawlies, whatever you're calling them these days, coming out of nowhere, ready to eat you alive. For a game in 2002, it really makes you feel like you got walked in on in the bathroom. More importantly though, these guys knuckled in some product placement to make it even more horrifying. We got the Balls energy drink that oddly give you such a small amount of health to the point of them being kinda worthless. I always thought the point of sponsorships like this was to make the product look useful, not a pathetic worm, but sure. At least we were given an old-timer advertisement of grab your balls and run like hell. Absolute brainiacs on the marketing team. Of course, that's not the only out-of-universe product included here, because there's also Pip-Boy protein bars, trademark, to reference Fallout. Probably because Interplay published this game, they had a hand in making the original Fallout titles, making it a perfect opportunity. So again, I have to say, I don't know where the bitch-made PlayStation 1 presentation comment comes from. I'm not really seeing it. The atmosphere for Run Like Hell hits well enough. There's a bit of goofiness in there with balls. It seriously comes off as like Grandpa Dead Space. Exploring various parts of the ship, finding dead people, grabbing codes for doors, being able to upgrade your weapons with pickups. It was to the point I was about to wrap it up and move on, figuring Allen is hating again for no reason, until I focused on the other part of the claims, clunky shooter and sluggish aiming, a claim that does have validity. As you traverse the ship, whenever you see an enemy, you hold L1 and keep pressing X to shoot them, square dancing your way around the floor, attempting to avoid their attacks. If they get close, you can press triangle to brush their teeth with your elbow. That's really it. There's nothing more to it. Combat has little to no input. It gets kinda crusty after a while. We don't need to aim for the head, weak points, or anything to get kills. Just lock on, press X, reload, keep tapping X. How am I supposed to indulge myself into humanity overpowering another life form when this is the depth of our combat? If humans can win this easily, we should hope for an alien invasion to actually happen to assert our dominance in the gladiatorial arena of the Milky Way. I don't see why not. Just press X and all the invaders will die. We'd have no issues conquering them. Aside from one, that thankfully only exists in the gaming space. As I said, you need to press L1, letting you lock onto enemies, but even though we're locking onto them, the aiming is still somehow turbo ass. For some reason, we can't use the left analog stick, or any button for that matter, to swap targets. You need to let go of L1 and press it again, hoping you target the enemy you're trying to kill. Nothing highlights it more than this boss battle right here. I was trying my darndest to take on the itsy bitsy spider, It keeps shooting baby aliens at me. After killing a few of them, the boss goes in for an attack that you need to avoid. Then you shoot it as the beast retreats. But you damaging the boss only happens when the game feels like it. If there are little spiders on the ground, you'll end up locking onto those instead of the boss, forcing you to keep letting go of L1, looking at the boss, pressing L1 again, hoping you lock onto it while trying not to die. And fun fact for Power Hour, you can't attack period unless you lock onto something. This boss was way more difficult than it should have been, thanks to this hogwash. It's some next level asinine oversight that makes me go bonkers. Run Like Hell can be borderline unplayable when there are groups of enemies around. However, it's not prevalent enough to ruin the entire game. When it's just a few bozos you're filling up with lead, you don't notice it as much. Still, it's the most noticeable frustration I had throughout my time playing. I put around 5 hours of playtime into this one, and weirdly, I don't have anything more to say about it. A majority of the game is you running around the ship, holding L1, pressing X, dancing around, blowing everyone to Kingdom Come, finding passcodes on computers or dead people to open doors with the good old shape button combinations. There isn't really much going on outside of a very primitive loop of doing the same things repeatedly, occasionally solving a very simple puzzle, which is depressing because on the surface, Run Like Hell has genuine substance with the aesthetic. Problems only start arising when you get under the neck rolls, realizing it suffers from boring. Similar to other classics on PS2 such as Sopranos: The Road to Respect, the aura carries this game. You can make the most spooky, kooky, atmospheric, visual adult movie nut-busting level game you want to, but if the core gameplay puts NyQuil out of business after a couple hours, anyone's gonna put this back on the shelf and pack it up. I wanted to enjoy Dead Space Weird Uncle. I really did. I just couldn't. I got bored. The aesthetic is the only thing that could get me partially chubbed. Regardless, I do think it goes without saying, Run Like Hell is not a bottom 10 PS2 game. It's just half-baked, falling in the mediocrity camp more than anything else. If you're playing this for the story, there's a few notable voice actors in here, and there's some real positivity that can be extracted from that front as well. I just feel overall, Run Like Hell needed to visit an alpha male boot camp to start selling online dating courses, following in the footsteps of the most manly video game ever made, Army Men, Green Rogue, a sluggish 3D shooter with poor controls, repetitive gameplay, and outdated graphics. Critics found it a disappointing entry in the Army Men series. Wikipedia. This is another addition to one of the strangest franchises I have ever seen in my entire goddamn life. There are 24 of these things in total, these Army Men games. How the fuck you can make that many games about little green army people blows my mind, but here we are in the trenches, playing as Green Mr. Clean in the first level, spelling Welcome to the Jungle with the number 2, and unsurprisingly, we are in a jungle, being forced down a straight pathway in the never-stopping scrolling fiesta, blasting away at the evil tan bastards, pressing our X button to send them back to the 4-year-olds who made them in a sweatshop. And this is the game. No joke, I could end it here. There's nothing more to Army Men Green Rogue than this. You can crouch, I guess. You can pick up other weapons. Get yourself a bazooka, maybe a flamethrower, to help you on your conquest of running and shooting. You're able to get a radioactive power to blow everything up. So is our character a super soldier? Is he a long-lost MCU installment? I mean, we can turn into a fake natural, blasting a rocket launcher everywhere. Could this guy scrap with Spider-Man and win? Who knows? I was just sort of bewildered as I was going through this, especially the moments I was getting stuck thanks to the never-ending scrolling, a common occurrence in a game using up this much console horsepower, I see. I just have so many questions about everything. Like, what was the thought process behind this game? Why can we not give bosses health bars? Better yet, what is this mutated elf? Why is this a boss? Lastly, why is this worse than the PS1 Army Men game I played? Sarge's Heroes was alright. You actually got to move around in a 3D environment on objectively less powerful hardware. There was some enjoyability there. With Green Rogue, I seriously cannot believe they expected you to play 16 levels of this. There are no other objectives. You keep running in straight pathways, moving left and right, occasionally busting a turnaround here and there, pressing one button on smudgy ass environments. This is an undeniable slop game. I hope to the high heavens people weren't paying more than $2 to $3 for Green Rogue. No way is this thing worth any more than that. If you happen to be one of the people who did skip over this, you must be a made man. So you can look at yourself in the mirror all these years later and ask yourself, are you a wannabe mob thriller with sloppy gunplay, generic missions, and broken cover mechanics? Did critics call you a quote broken GTA on a budget with no source? Probably not. Those honors seem to be exclusive to this PS2 gem, one that wastes no time keeping us on the edge of our seats, starting in a cemetery, a guy's running towards the car, we peel out, the unnamed passenger is questioning what's happening, and us as Joey start filling him in, sending us all back in time. North Carolina, June 7th, 1971. A very strange alternate reality of the real 1971. I say this because all these people speak without opening their mouths. The immediate second I got control of Joey, as a member of the mob, I needed to assert my dominance in this diner, so I started beating on this second grader ass dressed gentleman blocking the door. He's jolting back, clearly not affected by my fists of fury. Eventually, the diner staff had enough of how depressing this was to watch. Then we are given the greatest cutscene I've ever seen.
Ain't that your brothers messing with that truck?
That's my goddamn
okay,
truck.
Folks. Everyone stay in your seats and no one gets hurt. And don't you go getting any ideas either, partner. I got
That
you
thing
dead
down,
right.
Banny.
The cutscenes in this game are pretty awkward. Right after that happened, we go out the back door. The old man asks if these are my friends. He clearly shoots them. The bullets do absolutely nothing. Grandpa dies. Joey runs over. The goons don't shoot me. I teleport backwards slightly. Then I'm tossed into the actual gameplay, which is your typical third-person shooter game. You grab some guns, mow people down as expected, with some gnarly new mechanics like retort kills, attempting to make Joey look like some badass killing machine. A guy on the ground will taunt you, and if you hold circle, the game zooms into Joey's face while also showing the poor soul's POV. Then you execute the person with a bullet. But in this case here, does this guy have eyes in the back of his head? How is he looking at me? Who knows? It's not like you can take anything that's happening seriously. When you reach the end of Mission 1, Joey walks on a dock and has a flashback to Vietnam, since of course he participated in that. And you know what other third-person shooter game has a character that served in Vietnam? Jake Conway in Ride to Hell Retribution. And similar to that game, it appears the goal of Made Man is to make you, as the player, go on this power fantasy world star experience, being one of the most dominant men this low poly world has ever seen. This attempted play does work. Made Man has the difficulty of Elmo's letter adventure, so anyone can embody the one-man army power, wiping out the entirety of the Vietnamese forces all by yourself. A war that was filled with tragedy after tragedy could have been averted if the US sent over one fucking Joey. That's all it took, and they didn't do it. Maybe they didn't want to take the risk and they're saving them for the Third World War. Hopefully, if we can have Jake Conway and this goofball team up, they'd be unstoppable. After our flashback, Joey returns to reality, where we of course run around shooting more people and alligators, cause there's nothing else you can let us do apparently. Occasionally, we get to hear Joey chime in with random thoughts, since if you forgot, this story is being retold. It's not like you could be blamed if you did forget. When you have a character that is as ridiculous as Joey, it overshadows any actual writing you could produce. When it exists, that is. As I was going through the swamp, I ran into a cutscene where I think the guy was supposed to be talking, but he just wasn't.
Will do, Walt.
Dude, no way! I missed out on story development. I don't get to find out why we're 1v1ing a helicopter with a pistol. A battle that, all jokes aside, was unbelievably difficult. The amount of times you need to shoot this thing is unreal. It was the first time I was actually challenged in this game, and thankfully there's nothing I love more than being stuck shooting a helicopter for 15 minutes. It's just so much fun. After eons, I finally emerged victorious against the propellered beast, but I kinda got confused with what happened. It shows the helicopter flying away, then the game cuts to a truck that Joey was trying to get inside of, moving on its own. Joey runs towards it, he phases straight through the back of the truck and keeps running. Now we're dressed as Dragunov from Tekken. I seriously can't with this game anymore. I don't even know if I can say it's bad or not. Like, the gameplay is not remotely close to fun. It's as close to apathy as you can get, and I don't give a rat's ass about the real story they tried writing here. You play Made Man for the same reason you play Ride to Hell Retribution. You're not laughing with it, you're laughing at it. It is so ridiculous, you can't take anything seriously. Joey is such a knucklehead, him alone makes the game worth playing. The only part I'm confused on is where Alan got the broken GTA on a budget from. Maybe because everything back then was called the GTA clone. And you know what? Yeah, everything is a GTA clone, even Jaws Unleashed. Being Jaws sounds fun, but constant bugs, repetitive objectives, and janky water physics makes this more chore than Shark Fantasy. Now look, this is a game based on a movie, so already my hopes are pretty low, but the one thing I'll say off the rip is they made the right choice having us actually play as the shark. I don't think anyone wants to play as some geek running around getting away from it. We want to kill, and kill we can do. In this little pond we start in, you learn the ins and outs of living life as a shark, eating seals, fish, and other animals scattered about, even people. These silly geese think they're safe on a boat, you chomp their ass and blow the entire ship up. To help you slowly start realizing, we are beginning to dedicate our lives to shark terrorism. Going around murdering as many people as possible, breaking docks, spilling gasoline into the ocean, and sinking entire piers. All this stuff is perfectly okay because we're playing as a shark. Just kidding, we get captured by SeaWorld, or whatever this is, a place where no shark wants to be. So the way you get out of this aquatic prison is by grabbing a scientist and you bring his corpse over to a control panel. This was actually cryptic horseshit. I was stuck here for like 10 minutes not knowing what to do. With the gate open, you continue on with your powers of subpsychotic rage, you break through glass, eat more people, break an entire tunnel, escaping through the aquarium to fight a big orca. You need to keep biting his ass until he dies, and you mutilate this thing. It gets ripped right in half, and you see the head sink to the bottom of this exhibit, blood and all. If you haven't realized from the gameplay yet, this game is really gory. If you look at the bodies while you're chewing them, you can see their heads come off, and the overall amount of blood is crazy. It's actually pretty, dare I say, realistic. If there is a player who wanted to pretend they're a shark for a little bit, Jaws Unleashed works for that. Upon escaping the aquarium, you can roam in the open waters, go to shores, eat people, bite boats and blow them up, eat small animals like seals and dolphins, with side missions that let you do even more killing. The only problem is we got the Army Men Green Rogue effect. What you see is what you get. This is the entire game. Except this time, it's slightly more excusable thanks to it fitting a niche for shark heads. There aren't a lot of games out there that let you roam around as a shark. In a sense, this is Animal GTA. You can kill anyone, do water wheelies, and progress the story that has a second-to-none plot of people must die. Jaws Unleashed, to me, doesn't really deserve to be down here. Sure, it's not that great of a game when you start comparing it to other things, but I've had more fun with this than anything else I've played up to this point, so I guess that says something. Animal GTA is alright. But as it goes, we are still not done with every game being GTA. Here, we have 25 to Life, a gritty urban shooter that tried to be a GTA meets SOCOM, but ended up with awful AI, clumsy controls, and laughably bad story writing. Is it really bad story writing though, if we take the band-aid off by watching a dad come home, then start arguing with his girlfriend about a friend she doesn't want him hanging out with anymore? Kinda, yeah, actually. Our living legend is having a rough time getting out of the gang lifestyle, or the game as they call it, and these characters I don't know or have any reason to care about are going to break up if he doesn't get out of the game. Oh no, anything but that. If you do happen to care about this family though, boy, do I have some news. After we stand our ground against this red-shirted man, he decided he's going to let us out of the Triple H. There's one last mission he wants us to do, and we're out of the game. Red Shirt gives us a bag of illegal substances. We waltz over to this lady taking a puff. No, it's a cop who had an attack helicopter waiting the whole time. Now we're on the run. And that helicopter just disappears, by the way. When you start playing, we aren't getting shot by it anymore. It's just gone. Yet again, this is a third-person shooter, playing very similar to Made Man. You grab guns, run around shooting people, except the controls are even more stiff this time around. It's really hard to explain in words. You feel like you're traversing on a grid while moving and shooting, making it incredibly frustrating to play the way you want to, as in moving and shooting, kinda being the entire direction of the core gameplay, so the fact it isn't smooth is kind of an issue. Unfortunately, I need to deal with it. I am in deep shit now, talking to Red Shirt Guy on the new invisible cell phone technology, and 25 to Life drops a bombshell on the player. Red Shirt Guy was working with Car Lady to set us up because she's a dirty cop, and Red Shirt thinks we're betraying him by trying to leave the game. We find this out from Car Lady calling Red Shirt after he hangs up with Protagonist. But the protagonist doesn't know this, making us all wonder what's gonna happen to the guy I don't know the name of. Well, we sneak past a bunch of cops, karate kick the back door open, our family is gone, Red Shirt Man tells us he kidnapped them over a voicemail, saying he wants a large, unspecified amount of money to get them back. Protagonist Man then says he needs to take out a withdrawal. What does the character mean by withdrawal, you ask? Robbing a fucking bank. The mission loading screen says, you are desperate for a large amount of money to get back your wife and child who are being held by Calderon, that's Red Shirt Man. You see little choice but to turn to what you have known your entire life. Crime. I guess you need to do what you can in these games to make your characters look like unstoppable forces of nature. So in this case here, we got a two-man team that walks through the front door, no planning or anything, not even masked up, while already being wanted by the police, mind you, kitted out with shotguns and assault rifles, ready to rob a bank, no issue. The circus, of course, comes out victorious with ease. We grab the money, walk out the back door, murder an entire SWAT unit by ourselves, getting away scot-free. Or so we think. Surprisingly, we get apprehended by the police. Now we're playing as a cop for some reason, where we go on another killing spree across multiple levels because these low-budget third-person shooter games never have anything else going on aside from just running through each level, shooting and shooting and shooting. My assumption for why that's the case is due to them spending the entirety of their budget on copyrighted music rather than the game itself. No matter how much spelunking and sleuthing I do trying to get under the covers of this digital ghetto that is 25 to Life, I cannot discover a reason for a normal gamer to play it. It's the equivalent of what a 70-year-old assumes playing a video game is. Staring at a screen, Cheeto dust in your hair, picking your nose, pressing buttons, experiencing a story written by a third grader. It seriously starts going off the rails to the point I feel like I escaped from a nut house retelling it. The cop character we started playing as after the bank robbery gets blasted in the back of the head by the car wench from earlier, whose name is Maria, and the entire strand of levels you play through as the cop seem to attempt building up towards this moment like it's some sort of revelation no one saw coming, when you literally told us in the first level she is working with the guy who kidnapped the first dude's wife and kid. No shit, she's bad. Those levels I played as the cop don't even need to exist. Then, what's even stranger, in this hairy turn of events, our character changes once again to play as the Red Shirt Man, or as mere mortals call him, Sean. This guy got sent to Mexico by the car wench to work towards a plan of taking over the entire drug cartel. Sean's grand plan of reaching a hood rat's perception of godhood is slaughtering his way to the top. Fine. Easy, done, leader, dead, Sean is God. After we finish his levels, the game has us go back to the first guy we played as in prison. Miraculously, there's a prison break. After all this time, I finally find out his name is Andre Freeze Francis. More grrr happens. Can't live without that. All the prison guards get to meet Davy Jones. When Maria gets ear we escaped from prison thanks to an unnamed snitch, she dispatches an army of corrupt cops to kill me. She should have hired better people though. I don't know what Craigslist ad they came from, but they did not stand a chance against the walking, talking icicle. I threw a Molotov cocktail at Maria. She got incinerated on top of having bullets enter her body, and we finally start reaching the end of our conquest. We are now storming the mansion of Sean with a Saw LMG all by ourselves to get revenge for kidnapping our family. And if we just stop for a second and just talk about this, why make us play as Sean and get him into power when later on in the game we return to playing as Freeze just so we can go kill Sean? Is it supposed to be some 19th dimensional storytelling where we get to see with our own eyes how he ascended the food chain? I don't get it. What is this choice? Whatever, he's dead now. Freeze finds his child. The wife is dead, I think. I'm not too sure. Cops then burst into whatever room this is supposed to be. The snowball pulls out a pistol and starts shooting at them, with the game thankfully coming to a close, implying Freeze will never leave his life of crime, even though the entire game was about him leaving his life of crime behind. So, what was the point of the game? Saving a kid? So much was said, and nothing actually happened. All those changing character moments shouldn't even exist. If you want the player to care about Andre and his family, which was the original story driver that was given to us, we should only be playing as Andre and no one else. The character changes literally made no sense and added nothing. This is like sub-high school level storytelling. I hope an intern wrote this and no one actually got paid to do it. Usually, I don't feel like I wasted my time when playing a video game, regardless of how bad it is, but thank you 25 to Life for changing that. Also, thank you to Shovelware. Nothing makes me happier in this world than seeing a game with the quality of ChatGPT's number 5, Beverly Hills Cop. A game I have covered on this channel before, and I'm expected to do it again. While ChatGPT says Beverly Hills Cop is a late generation shooter, ugly graphics, nonsensical missions, and controls that feel half finished, I am saying Beverly Hills Cop is one of the worst games anyone could ever play. First off, Beverly Hills Cop is a movie with Eddie Murphy as the main character, so who is this crash dummy looking motherfucker? At a simple glance, you can tell this is not even close to resembling Eddie Murphy, so if the geniuses over at Blast Entertainment weren't going to be faithful to that part, then where does the faith lie? Nowhere. It was slop dumped onto the PlayStation 2 in the year 2006 in hopes of normies, or even worse, grandmas, would buy this mind-bending classic for a couple bones at a local store. If you live under a rock, in other words, don't partake in the shovelware awful game world, Blast Entertainment is a company that would release low-effort filth onto the PS2. They are notorious for giving us classics like Babe the video game, or whatever other franchises they would be able to acquire the rights to for a very cheap amount of shekels, and use that said franchise to show off their talents to the masses. 99% of Blast's games can barely be considered games, but Beverly Hills Cop is in that 1% where it can be called a game, barely. We get 6 levels of fun with this one, and it's unbelievably difficult. No joke, Beverly Hills Cop is a tough cookie for one reason alone. Anytime you fail or die, you need to restart the entire level from the beginning. There are no short levels either. Between you needing to sneak past people with fucking laser vision seeing me through a car, or getting into actual war zones shooting these mute Ken dolls we have the pleasure of gracing our eyes with, you can spend up to 15 to 20 minutes per level, and the fact one death makes you restart the whole thing is pretty disgusting, to be frank. If you don't know what's coming up, you get shot at from someone you can't see, maybe your bullets go straight through whoever you're shooting, whatever it is, you shouldn't need to start over from the beginning. Besides, it's not like the uphill battle is even worth it. The excuse of playing it for the story doesn't work, because there hardly is one. Plus, when any form of plot is attempting to exist, it's crumpled up and 3-pointed into a trash can, thanks to the cutscenes being completely silent. Seriously, when you're sitting here watching our favorite goober kicking it behind his computer desk, there's no voice acting or music, just the dark abyss of nothing while you read subtitles. If you are someone who enjoys playing a game, laughing at every piece of it, and meeting classic characters like Mr. Game & Watch in a non-Nintendo game, then be my guest, go buy Beverly Hills Cop. Go play this game that has frame rate drops up the wazoo, making it borderline impossible to give these interdimensional thugs the gun. Do it. You want Battlefield 6? Fuck that. We got this Battlefield back in 2006. The only disappointment you may have is that I'm not doing a true deep dive into this game, because you can't. There's nothing to say about it. Look at this. One screenshot shows you what kind of game this is. It may not answer all the questions you have, but it speaks for itself. You know what doesn't speak for itself, though? Rebooting an arcade title from the late 80s that was designed to be an anti-drug campaign. That's right, NARC. A failed reboot weighed down by clumsy combat, empty levels, and its notorious drug use mechanic, more confusing than edgy. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the arcade game is pretty good. It's obviously a bit over the top and ridiculous. Still a fun time though, so the question becomes, how do you bring this back? Do you need to bring this back? Apparently you do. It starts with an absurd introduction. We got a 25 to life ass character that is being held up by a bunch of cops. He gets shot to near death. He reaches for a syringe while bleeding out. We then see the guy inject it into himself to become a human mutant. He murders the entire police brigade. Now, we need to chase after his bitch ass. And for the third time today, we're playing a third-person shooter, kind of. The intro has us run around blasting people to smithereens with much faster gameplay than the previous two, also having an auto lock-on mechanic whenever you're in combat, making it pretty boring. Removing the player's ability to use their brain and aim is a questionable choice to me. Regardless of that, I'm not gonna sit here repeating myself for the 100th time. What can I really say about a third-person shooter game that is on the lower echelon of gaming's totem pole? We've looked at two of them already. They speak for themselves. So thankfully, in the case of NARC, there's a little bit more on this Little Debbie cake. I did say third-person shooter, kind of. When you finish this tutorial mission and get released into the wild, you can do cop stuff like arresting people, delivering their drugs back to the police station, and that's really it. It's not much, but this makes NARC not entirely a third-person shooter. Is it fun? No. After arresting 2 to 3 people in this sad open space, I was already looking for more to do outside of story missions. So I started searching for that more, and more I did find. If we go back to the original game again, the origin of NARC was to push an anti-drug message. You know, the whole smoke in the devil's grass will make you become a killer, you'll blow up gas stations as a side job, rip people's hearts out and put it in your bumhole if you even look in the direction of a blunt. It was all some 2011 creepypasta evil character arc. I did it by watching you type shit. The world hated it and villainized any and all use of the drug, which is the reason a game like NARC exists. In the reboot of NARC, drugs are involved. You can bust drug dealers, cuff them up, beat on them, whichever you decide to do, but for some reason, you can also use them to empower yourself or sell them to random people on the street for money. Does that not go against the original principle that NARC was trying to follow? There, you were blowing up drug dealers with missiles, mowing them all down, becoming one of the most prolific killers in history. And this, you're using them willy-nilly. Smoke up or swallow a couple tablets with smiley faces on them, going hog wild. Let's make a couple bucks by creating some new addicts. And I shouldn't be shocked. I know AI mentioned it earlier with the notorious drug use mechanic, but I thought it was talking about the enemies doing it, not you. When it comes to the rest of the NARC experience, you're just playing make-pretend cop in an open world with nothing to do. They did attempt playing it up in the beginning, giving you a 15-minute tutorial on how to arrest people, cleaning up the streets with your invisible mop, ensuring you keep a good reputation. And with all the build-up they did, trying to make you feel like a human McGruff, a warden of the law, you're only given 2 types of crimes to bust. One is you arresting a hooligan leaning against a building trying to sell his products. The other is stopping pedestrians battling on the sidewalk. That's it. If you want me to swallow the cop roleplay Kool-Aid, why not flesh it out more? Is anyone going to be entertained by this? Repeatedly stopping the same 2 crimes for eternity? Making the only real value, if you want to call it that, come from NARC story mode, where you are trying to track down the creator and distributor of Liquid Soul. When we saw our boy from earlier using Quick Revive from COD Zombies, it's that. But sadly, for all the Liquid Soul addicts out there, NARC's gameplay gets tedious and boring to the point I don't want to deal with it. I've repented my sins to get out of gaming prison. I beat Beverly Hills Cop. I beat 25 to life. I'm good. No more shooters, please, especially third-person ones. That's just a joke, of course. ChatGPT has another one, Hidden Invasion, a sci-fi third-person shooter with recycled environments, brain-dead enemies, and PS1 era visuals. A total shovelware throwaway. Wait a second. ChatGPT lied. We're in the clear. This is a beat-em-up game, not a third-person shooter. I have never been so happy to be lied to. So, does this mean Hidden Invasion is going to be a good time? Obviously not, but it's something different. It feels good to be on the loose, pounding on poor souls who step to me, running around defusing bombs my villains put all over the city. And yeah, that's purely contrast bias talking here. Deep down, I can feel the dirt oozing out of the situation. I had my That's So Raven moment of knowing Hidden Invasion would turn into a snooze fest after 3 levels, which unsurprisingly happened. As it goes with beat-em-up games, they get stale, even if they are designed well, making you focus on the surrounding pieces stuck in that try alleviating that feeling of boredom. Hidden Invasion's attempt at ensuring things don't get too crusty is by letting you use guns, with all of them, aside from the shotgun, feeling exactly the same, so it didn't work. You just shoot in bursts of 3 with your aimbot, pressing circle over and over again. Whenever your ammo happens to run out, you are left with your feet and fists as your only way of survival, repeatedly pressing square, 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 or triangle, triangle, triangle to assert dominance. We get no special attacks unless throwing a grenade is considered a special attack. You get no super moves, no new combos. You only get 3 buttons, and it's your choice whether you want to punch or kick after your ammo runs out. It's as vanilla as a beat 'em up game can get. I have a hard time believing it could hold anyone's attention for long, and normally we'd be able to end it here. Hidden Invasion is just repetitious filth. It gets boring, whatever, move on. But there's a little bit more worth mentioning, like how infuriating fighting groups is. My scrap against this boss is a perfect example. I could barely move throughout our battle. Anytime I stood up, knuckles right to the temple, the enemies would surround me again, welcoming my character to a never-ending spin cycle, repeatedly killing me. This happens constantly throughout the game too. We're also given other vintage moments of having these sick-ass Crow City of Angels tier camera angles where you can barely tell what is happening, who you are, or what dimension you've entered, creating this concoction of irritation that is weirdly the only thing keeping your attention, since, as I said earlier, the combat is a Fisher-Price toy in digital form, meaning the only feeling evoked out of you is you being annoyed. Why not just go on a walk at that point? Go kidnap local turtles and try using them to take your town over. I don't see a reason to play this. It's just not worth it. But I can't let this negativity stop the movement. We cannot get stunlocked and hellbent over Hidden Invasion. There's still more games our lives need to be blessed with, like Trigger Man. Supposedly, it's the definition of bargain bin shovelware, generic mobs, broken shooting mechanics, and lifeless presentation. It's made for clearance racks. What a quote. And I need to be straight up with this one. I was about to knuckle in, go all out, prepared to indulge myself into the Trigger Man, when I saw this silent cutscene of our main character and his unimaginable jawline talking to low-res Polly from Sopranos. I was ready, but this is another third-person shooter game. I'm just tired of it. I've had enough. This is the 4th one. I even tried going around to slice these guards up with my blade so I don't need to shoot anybody and make it a little bit different. Unfortunately, it was almost impossible to do that. They filled me up with lead every time I tried, so I was stuck feeling like I'm in a padded room, experiencing what is essentially the same as the other 3 games. You run around shooting people, you grab guns here and there, going from level to level. So this made my goal change. I decided all I was gonna look for is an aspect that would make it stand out from the rest. Does it have any unique features? A ridiculous story? Am I injecting 15 different questionable substances into my urethra? Not really, no. The only difference in comparison to the others we've talked about is how there's a lot of sneaking around going on before the larger battles happen. Also, some of the character models bugged. They turned into these weird frog-looking creatures and their face texture was plastered all over their clothing. Aside from that, it's the same regurgitated num we've already seen. Triggerman has subpar controls, the protagonist is a wacky bowl of Fruit Loops, he's a one-man army, destructive human equivalent of a god that can do everything, his hobby is being a mass murderer, he probably owns 500 Lamborghinis and blows them up outside of a homeless shelter on the daily for his own amusement. All the classics are here, with the expected boneheaded choices we've come to know and love from these games, like enemies not dropping ammo, so when you're going on your daily killing spree and you're out of juice, if there are no ammo boxes around, good luck, pal. You gotta hope you can find one around the area without dying, or wait for the AI to be in a position for you to kill them all. Believe me, I'm not happy about this. I want variety, I want the standouts, but I'm powerless in this situation. I wasted 4 hours of my life playing Triggerman to try extracting value for this segment, and I couldn't do it. I lost. So now, it's time for AI's #1 worst PS2 game, The Guy Game. Infamous trivia game that's both exploitative and unplayable, shallow gameplay, awful design, and pulled from shelves after release. Universally panned as one of the worst games to ever hit the PS2. And this is a special one, alright? Basically, The Guy Game is a cringe-ass game show where you pick one of the women here, with your main goal being to answer dumbass questions. My first question was, on a standard deck of playing cards, which suit's king has no mustache? What geek is going to know the answer to that? So you pick your answer to whatever the question may be. Afterwards, we switch over to various different women that are live recorded, standing next to Red Rocket over here. They answer the same question you answered, then you need to pick if their answer was correct or not. What happens if you get the answers wrong? Well, if it's you being asked the question, you lose money. If you chose incorrectly about the girl's answer, it shows a clip of whichever one answered the previous question lift their bra up completely. Really? Whose idea was this? How depraved do you need to be to create this? It's the most dude bro room temperature IQ concept I've ever seen for a game. Just ask people random stupid questions, and if they get it wrong, they need to expose themselves in front of an audience. In the video game, you can't see it unless you get the flashometer up to super stiff. Then the clips will be completely uncensored. This is just so juvenile, it cannot be real life. Imagine unironically playing this and someone walks in on you. What do? I don't know how down bad you need to be to actively want this game, but holy guacamole. And if all that wasn't sad enough, ChatGPT did say that Guy Game was pulled from store shelves, which is true. Obviously, to perform the action of exposing yourself, you need to be a legal consenting adult, but not everyone was. In the final chapter of The Guy Game, there was a girl named Diana who was 17. Before filming, she provided a fake ID to partake in the Goober Games here, but they found out a few months after release she was not 18 during development, causing a lot of controversy for Top Heavy Studios. Diana herself took them to court, claiming she was unaware she would be part of the game or any promotions for the product. The courts then ordered Top Heavy to put a hold on selling the game, forcing it to be taken off of store shelves. To my understanding, they were working on a version where she was cut out completely, but I don't think it actually released. In the current day, there's a lot of discourse on whether owning a physical copy of Guy Game is legal or not, because in a roundabout way, you could say cheese pizza is in the game. I don't fully know. I'm not going to pretend I'm the all-seeing eye of the law. I'm just going to leave it at the game sucks. And yeah, definitely a pretty grim way to leave off a list of some silly bad PS2 games. Unfortunately, the PS2 list was a bit more lackluster than the PS1 list in my opinion, mainly due to 4 of the games being third-person shooters. So sorry about that. I was just confining to Alan and his supposed list of commands. But like I said, when we looked at Alan's worst PS1 games, looking at these is just a bit of fun. There's no such thing as an objective worst list of anything. Not even the AI overlords can create a perfect specimen. I'm sure someone out there thinks at least one of these games is the greatest creation since modern society was established. To me, almost all of these are terrible, and in my mind, most people would have a few of them on their worst PS2 games list. Beverly Hills Cop, 25 to Life, Army Men Green Rogue. I mean, come on. I have a hard time seeing anyone defending these. We only got 2 salvageable titles with Jaws Unleashed and Run Like Hell. There's some actual value with those ones. But make sure to leave your thoughts about this list in the comments below. Do you agree with it? Do you have a worst PS2 game list of your own? Is Beverly Hills Cop the greatest first-person shooter game ever made? Let me know. And big ups to the very first channel member, Eobi. I hope that's the correct pronunciation. But if you want to join them, tap on the join button below to get early access to content and have your name plastered at the end of each video. While you're at it, consider subscribing if you haven't already. Check out the playlist on screen for more videos just like this one. As always, take very good care of yourselves, and I hope to see you all again in the next video.